Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into some powerful wisdom from Zen and Buddhist teachings, exploring how the words we use about ourselves can shape our reality. We'll be looking at 3 phrases you should absolutely avoid saying about yourself in public. Let's get started.
A wise master once told his student, "A single word can lift a heart or shatter a soul." Be mindful of your speech, for your words shape reality. In times when wisdom was sought in mountains and silence, a young seeker arrived at a monastery, keen to learn Zen. Though he'd studied many texts, his mind was clouded by doubt. He asked the master, "Is it true words hold power?" The master smiled, pointing to the river, "See how it flows. It carves mountains over time." Likewise, words shape the mind, soul, and fate of the speaker. The seeker bowed, understanding the truth. The master leaned in and said, "There are 3 things you must never say about yourself publicly, for they will chain, blind, and weaken you." The seeker's curiosity burned. "What are they, master?" The master placed his hand on the seeker's shoulder. "Listen closely, and let these words carve wisdom in your heart, as the river carves stone." First, I am not enough. The master led the seeker to an old tree with deep roots, touching the bark. This tree does not question its worthiness of sunlight or nourishment from the earth, it simply grows. The seeker frowned, "But master, humans are different. Sometimes we feel we are not enough." The master nodded, "And that is where suffering begins." Saying, "I am not enough," plants self-doubt in your mind. When you declare this publicly, you water that doubt with others' approval, making it stronger. The seeker interrupted, "Is it not good to acknowledge weaknesses?" The master smiled, "Acknowledging weakness and branding yourself unworthy are different. One leads to wisdom. The other, to a self-made cage." He told a story. A man seeking swordsmanship said to a warrior, "I am too weak and slow." The master gave him a sword, "Then fight as you are." For years, the man trained, always thinking he was too weak, so his sword was hesitant. One day, a boy complimented his fighting, but the man said, "No, I am not enough." The boy believed him and left. The master sighed, "You've imprisoned yourself with your words. If you say you are not enough, you will never be. If others hear it, they'll believe it. Let go of this thought, and fight with all you have." The seeker listened, "So by saying I'm not enough, we convince ourselves and others that we're weak." The master agreed. "Yes, the river doesn't say, 'I am not strong enough to reach the ocean,' it simply flows." Second, I have nothing to offer. The master led the seeker to a quiet hall with empty bowls. "What do you see?" The seeker said, "An empty bowl." The master turned it over. "Is it still empty?" "Yes." The master filled it with tea. "Now it's full." The master explained that people often say, "I have nothing to offer," like looking at an empty bowl, forgetting it can be filled. No one is truly empty. Even in silence, you offer presence, in stillness, peace. To declare yourself empty in public is to turn your bowl over, refusing all that could fill it. The seeker wondered, what if someone truly feels worthless? The master laughed. A man under a tree felt worthless. A monk gave him a stone. Find its value. A vendor offered 10 coins, a jeweler 100, and the king's jeweler 10,000. The man asked why. The monk said, "The stone didn't change, only the eyes that looked at it. Don't judge your worth with the wrong eyes." The seeker felt realization, "So when I say I have nothing to offer, I am refusing to see my value." The master nodded, "Exactly. Never say this publicly, for it blinds you and others to your gifts." Third, I will never change. The master led the seeker to a stream, pointing to a rock. This rock hasn't changed for centuries, but the water moves on, shaping the land. Which truly lives? The water, the seeker said. Then why do people say, I will never change? The seeker thought, perhaps because they fear change. The master nodded, to declare you'll never change is to turn yourself into a rock, resisting life's natural flow. A tree refusing to change would never bear fruit, seasons refusing change would mean no harvest. Change is life. He told one final story. A man by a river mourned his past. I have made mistakes, I can never change, a fisherman said, step into the river. Is it the same water? The man hesitated, no. The fisherman said, then why think you can't change? The seeker closed his eyes and breathed in, so by saying, I will never change, we resist growth. The master said, yes, and resisting growth is resisting life itself. Reflection and realization. The seeker sat by the river, contemplating the three lessons. The words echoed in his mind. Saying, I am not enough, was like forging chains with words. He remembered comparing himself to others, feeling lesser and whispering, I am not enough. But the tree does not question its worth, the river doesn't hesitate, they simply are. Only humans imprison themselves with doubt. He'd created an invisible barrier, hesitating because he had convinced himself he wasn't good enough. What if he removed that thought? I am as I am, and that is enough, he whispered. He felt a weight he'd carried for years loosen. The master's second lesson was the illusion of emptiness. How often he'd been silent, thinking he had no wisdom to share. How often had he held back his skills thinking them unworthy? He remembered the hidden gem. Had he not measured his worth through eyes that didn't understand its value? His heart was beating, his mind was thinking, wasn't that enough? Even the smallest stream nourishes the earth, the quietest raindrop feeds the thirsty soil. He had sought worth in great achievements, ignoring the value of his existence. A butterfly landed on a stone, it did not need to prove its worth, it simply existed. Even I can offer something, the seeker whispered. The second chain around his heart loosened, the seeker's mind turned to the final lesson. The false belief in permanence. How many times had he thought, this is just who I am? Remembering the master's words, he looked at the river, it was never the same, yet always a river. The only thing preventing change was his belief that it was impossible. He'd imprisoned himself in an identity carved from past experiences rather than growing into something new. He stood up, feeling lighter. I am the river, I can change, he whispered, and the final chain broke. The seeker now understood why the master had warned against saying those things. I am not enough chains the self, I have nothing to offer blinds the self, and I will never change weakens the self. Words shape reality, spoken thoughts become beliefs, and beliefs shape actions. Speaking weakness leads to weakness, speaking emptiness leads to seeing emptiness, and speaking stagnation prevents growth. But the opposite is also true, speaking of possibility invites growth, speaking of worth uncovers hidden treasures, speaking of change allows transformation. The greatest wisdom was not in speech but in the master's quiet gestures, his understanding. The tree didn't need to say it was strong. It stood. The river didn't need to say it was flowing, it moved. Perhaps the wisest path was not to proclaim one's value but to embody it. The seeker would not need to say, I am enough, he would simply live as though he were. He would not need to say, I have something to offer, he would simply give. He would not need to say, I can change, he would simply flow like the river. The weight he had carried had vanished because he had let it go. The river continued its endless journey to the sea, and now so would he.
So there you have it. 3 phrases to remove from your vocabulary. Remember, your words have power. Choose them wisely. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video.